Chevy just dropped a bombshell on the auto industry, and nobody saw this coming. They've officially unveiled an all-new SUV with a jaw-dropping starting price of just $7,500, and it's already sending shockwaves through the market. At a time when SUVs are getting bigger, more expensive, and harder to afford, Chevy has gone in the opposite direction, delivering a compact, affordable, and surprisingly feature-packed vehicle that could completely change the way people think about budget SUVs. What makes this SUV so game-changing isn't just the price, it's the package. For $7,500, Chevy is offering a model that doesn't feel stripped down or outdated. The design is sleek, modern, and bold, with sharp lines and a sporty stance that makes it look way more premium than the price suggests. Inside, drivers are greeted with a digital dashboard, smart connectivity features, and enough space to comfortably seat a small family. Chevy clearly wanted to prove that affordable doesn't have to mean cheap. But here's where things get even more interesting. Industry insiders are saying this SUV could completely disrupt the global market. With so many automakers pushing SUVs in the $25,000 to $40,000 range, Chevy undercutting everyone with a $7,500 option puts enormous pressure on rivals. Competitors like Toyota, Hyundai, and even Tesla are now facing a serious problem, because Chevy has opened the door to millions of new buyers who were previously priced out of the SUV market. And let's not forget the timing. With rising interest rates, higher car payments, and families struggling with affordability, Chevy may have just created the perfect solution. They've targeted a segment that's been neglected for years, people who want the versatility of an SUV without paying luxury-level prices. The strategy is bold, and if this vehicle lives up to expectations, it could be one of the smartest moves Chevy has ever made. Under the hood, Chevy isn't cutting corners either. While you might expect a $7,500 SUV to come with a weak engine that barely gets the job done, this one surprises with a smart balance of performance and efficiency. Early reports suggest it will feature a compact yet capable powertrain designed for city driving and light highway use, delivering enough horsepower to feel confident behind the wheel while still keeping fuel consumption extremely low. Some versions are even rumored to come with hybrid or electric options, which could push this SUV far ahead of rivals in terms of long-term savings and eco-friendliness. Fuel efficiency is another area where Chevy seems determined to win over buyers. With rising gas prices, families are actively searching for vehicles that won't drain their wallets at the pump. Chevy's engineers have reportedly optimized this SUV for maximum mileage, meaning drivers could save thousands over the lifetime of ownership. Pair that with the low upfront cost, and it's clear Chevy is aiming to dominate the affordability game on multiple fronts. Now, here's where the global strategy comes into play. This SUV isn't just designed for the American market, it's aimed at regions where affordability and practicality matter the most. Emerging markets in Asia, Africa, and South America could see massive adoption, and Chevy knows this. By introducing a reliable, inexpensive SUV, they're not only opening new doors for first-time car buyers, but also challenging international brands that have long held dominance in these regions. This move could make Chevy one of the most aggressive players in the global automotive race. But the real shock is how Chevy managed to keep the price tag so low without compromising the essentials. Industry analysts are scratching their heads, speculating that Chevy may have restructured its supply chain, cut unnecessary features, and leaned into new cost-saving technologies to pull this off. Whatever the formula is, one thing is clear. Competitors are not ready for this level of disruption. Consumer reaction has been nothing short of explosive. The moment Chevy announced the $7,500 SUV, social media lit up with excitement. People who had long given up on owning a new car are suddenly talking about heading to showrooms. First-time buyers, young families, and even retirees looking for a practical second vehicle are all buzzing with anticipation. It's not just car enthusiasts, it's everyday people who see this SUV as a game-changer for their lifestyle and their budget. But while buyers are celebrating, the rest of the auto industry is in full panic mode. Competitors are scrambling to figure out how Chevy pulled this off. Automakers who've been pushing SUVs at premium prices are suddenly facing pressure like never before. If Chevy proves that a modern, reliable SUV can be sold at $7,500, it sets a dangerous precedent for rivals who've been relying on high margins to keep their profits flowing. The question now is, will others follow Chevy's lead, or will they try to fight back with criticism and doubt? And that's exactly what's starting to happen. Some experts are already voicing concerns, suggesting that a vehicle at this price point might have hidden compromises. Could it really hold up over years of driving? Will it have the same safety ratings as higher-priced SUVs? Is Chevy sacrificing long-term durability for affordability? These are the questions swirling around, and you can bet competitors are eager to highlight any weakness. But here's the twist: if Chevy delivers even close to what they've promised, these criticisms could backfire and make rivals look out of touch with what consumers actually want. Now, here's where things get even more intense. This SUV has the potential to spark a full-on price war in the industry. If Chevy's sales explode, Toyota, Ford, Hyundai, and others will have no choice but to rethink their pricing strategies. And if that happens, we could be looking at the first major shift in car affordability in decades, something that benefits buyers more than anyone else. And here's where it gets even more fascinating: the ripple effect this SUV could have on the electric vehicle market. Right now, EVs are often criticized for being too expensive for the average buyer. Even with government incentives, many families still can't justify spending $30,000 or more on an electric car. But if Chevy proves they can launch a fully functional SUV for $7,500, the next logical question becomes, could they do the same for an entry-level EV? Imagine an electric SUV priced under $15,000. Suddenly, the dream of mass EV adoption doesn't sound so far-fetched. This plays directly into government incentives as well. Many regions are offering rebates, tax credits, and subsidies for affordable vehicles, especially fuel-efficient or electric ones. If Chevy takes advantage of those programs, buyers could see the effective price of this SUV drop even lower than $7,500. That means we're not just talking about affordability, we're talking about accessibility on a level the industry has never seen before. For families in tough financial spots, this SUV could be the first real shot at owning a brand new, dependable vehicle. Chevy also has an opportunity here to dominate the future market landscape. Automakers are constantly fighting for brand loyalty, and nothing builds loyalty faster than offering customers massive value. If a young buyer gets into Chevy through this SUV as their first car, there's a strong chance they'll stick with the brand for decades, moving up into higher trims, electric models, or even Chevy's trucks as their income grows. In other words, this SUV isn't just about making headlines today, it's about planting seeds for long-term dominance. Meanwhile, industry insiders are whispering that this move might be part of Chevy's larger strategy to reposition itself globally. While Tesla has dominated headlines in the EV space, Chevy may be quietly carving out a different kind of empire, one built not on luxury and exclusivity, but on affordability and volume. And history shows us that mass adoption almost always beats niche luxury in the long run. What's really intriguing is the idea that Chevy might have a hidden strategy behind this launch. On the surface, it looks like they've simply created a budget-friendly SUV. But industry veterans know moves like this rarely happen without a bigger game plan. By aggressively undercutting competitors, Chevy could be testing how far they can push cost innovation while still maintaining quality. If it works, this could become the foundation for a whole new line of ultra-affordable vehicles, not just SUVs. Technology plays a huge role here. Traditional automakers have been weighed down by legacy designs, outdated manufacturing systems, and costly supply chains. Chevy seems to have embraced smarter, leaner methods, possibly drawing lessons from the EV world, where efficiency and modular design are key. For instance, shared platforms, simplified engineering, and cost-effective sourcing may all be part of the formula that allows them to offer this SUV at such a disruptive price. It's not just about building cheaper, it's about building smarter. And this SUV could permanently reshape customer expectations worldwide. For years, buyers have been conditioned to believe that a decent SUV costs $25,000 or more. Chevy just shattered that belief in one stroke. Once consumers realize they can get a stylish, reliable, and practical SUV for a fraction of that price, it's going to be very hard for other automakers to justify their inflated MSRPs. The pressure is officially on, and customers will demand better value going forward. Even dealerships could see a transformation from this. Typically, dealerships rely on upselling higher trims and pushing financing deals. But with a low-cost SUV like this, they may suddenly attract an entirely new wave of customers, people who pay up front. People who might never have stepped foot inside a dealership otherwise. That fresh traffic alone could reshape the retail side of the auto industry. Now the big question hanging over the industry is simple. How will rivals respond? Automakers like Toyota, Ford, and even Tesla can't afford to ignore what Chevy has just unleashed. Toyota, known for its reliable yet increasingly pricey SUVs, could be forced to revisit its pricing strategy. If they don't, Chevy risks eating into Toyota's massive customer base of practical buyers who value affordability above all else. Ford, on the other hand, has been leaning heavily on its SUV and truck lineup to drive profits. A $7,500 Chevy SUV puts direct pressure on Ford to either slash prices or risk losing ground in the entry-level segment altogether. Then there's Tesla, which has been dominating headlines with futuristic tech but struggling to make truly affordable vehicles. Elon Musk has teased low-cost EVs for years, but nothing close to this $7,500 range has materialized. Chevy's move now forces Tesla into a corner. Either they deliver on their promise of a budget-friendly EV soon, or Chevy could end up scooping up a massive audience Tesla has been promising but never reached. And make no mistake, this could very well be the biggest shakeup of the decade in the auto world. For years, the industry has been locked in a cycle of higher prices, more features, and bigger margins. Chevy just broke that cycle in spectacular fashion. If competitors refuse to adapt, they'll look greedy and out of touch. If they do adapt, we could be on the verge of an all-out price war, a scenario that benefits consumers more than anyone else. But here's the twist. Chevy isn't just competing on price. By delivering a stylish design, a solid performance profile, and global market appeal, they've positioned this SUV as more than just a budget car. It's a statement that value and quality can coexist. That's the real disruption, and it's why the entire industry is watching so closely. Globally, the impact of this $7,500 Chevy SUV could be seismic. In regions like India, Brazil, and parts of Africa, affordability has always been the biggest barrier to car ownership. Many families in these markets rely on motorcycles or used cars simply because new SUVs are far out of reach. Chevy just flipped that reality upside down. By dropping the entry barrier this low, they could unlock millions of new buyers almost overnight, creating a surge in demand that smaller regional automakers will struggle to compete with. Governments are likely to react, too, especially those that have been pushing for greater access to affordable, fuel-efficient, and safer vehicles. Some countries may welcome Chevy with open arms, offering incentives or tax breaks to boost sales, while others may try to protect their domestic automakers by imposing tariffs or stricter regulations. Either way, Chevy has forced governments into the conversation. Because when millions of citizens suddenly see the possibility of owning a brand new SUV at such a low cost, political pressure is bound to follow. And then comes the big challenge. Can Chevy actually keep up with the demand this SUV is about to generate? A headline-grabbing price tag is one thing, but delivering on scale is another. If Chevy underestimates demand, they risk long wait lists, frustrated buyers, and even grey market markups that drive the price back up. But if they've prepared properly, by building efficient supply lines and securing enough production capacity, they could flood the market before competitors even have time to respond. That would solidify their dominance and make this SUV the defining vehicle of the next few years. But the pressure is massive. One supply chain hiccup, one quality control scandal, or one production delay could flip the narrative instantly. Rivals are waiting for any stumble to pounce, and Chevy knows it. That's why this launch isn't just about a low-cost SUV, it's about executing perfectly under the global spotlight. If Chevy executes this right, the ripple effects will go far beyond just new car sales. One of the most immediate shifts will be in consumer loyalty. For years, buyers have been drifting toward brands like Toyota and Hyundai because they offered the best balance of reliability and price. But with Chevy suddenly delivering a brand new SUV at an unheard of $7,500, it's a direct shot at those loyal bases. Imagine millions of first-time buyers stepping into Chevy showrooms, experiencing strong value, and then sticking with the brand for life. That's not just one sale, it's a long-term customer pipeline. This SUV could also turn the used car market upside down. Right now, many people buy second-hand vehicles because new cars are too expensive. But when a brand new SUV can be had for less than the cost of many used sedans, why would someone gamble on a high-mileage car with uncertain history? Dealerships that rely heavily on used car sales could take a major hit, while buyers suddenly see new cars as the safer and smarter choice. It could push down used car prices across the board, forcing the entire market to recalibrate. And then there's the financing and leasing industry. Traditionally, banks and lenders have made significant money off auto loans stretched over 5, 6, even 7 years. But with a vehicle priced at $7,500, many buyers may not even need financing at all. They could pay up front or opt for shorter, simpler loans, cutting into the profit margins of lenders and altering the economics of auto financing entirely. Leasing, too, could take a hit. Why lease a car at $300 a month when you can own a brand new SUV outright for less than the cost of a few years' payments? This shift challenges not just automakers, but the entire ecosystem that has been built around high car prices. Chevy may have just cracked open a door that others were too scared to touch. And now every piece of the industry from banks to dealerships is going to feel the pressure to adapt. Luxury brands are about to feel the tremors of this move too. While Chevy's $7,500 SUV doesn't directly compete with BMW, Mercedes, or Audi, it indirectly reshapes the playing field. Here's why. When buyers realize that they can get modern styling, solid performance, and essential tech features at a fraction of the cost, the pressure on luxury automakers intensifies. They'll need to justify their sky-high prices more than ever, either by cramming in futuristic features or doubling down on exclusivity. Otherwise, that psychological gap between affordable and premium starts shrinking fast. Tech integrations are another fascinating angle. For years, automakers have used flashy infotainment systems, advanced driver assist features, and digital dashboards as selling points to justify higher prices. But Chevy's SUV reportedly comes loaded with surprisingly modern tech things like smartphone connectivity, touchscreen controls, and potentially even advanced safety features like lane assist or automatic braking. If Chevy really offers all of this in a $7,500 vehicle, then the tech arms race suddenly gets turned on its head. Buyers will start demanding these features as standard, not premium add-ons. That expectation could force the entire industry to rethink its pricing models. This feeds directly into the future of value-first car design. For decades, automakers have layered on features to boost profit margins, often pricing out average consumers. But Chevy's move suggests a return to basic smart design, essential technology, and affordability that doesn't feel like compromise. If this approach takes off, we might see a wave of vehicles worldwide built with the same philosophy. Cars designed to meet everyday needs without the bloated costs. And once consumers taste that kind of value, it will be nearly impossible to go back. In other words, Chevy isn't just selling a car here, they're selling a new standard, a new definition of what affordable can look like in the 21st century. And that has the potential to send shockwaves well beyond SUVs, reaching into sedans, trucks, and even the EV sector in ways no one fully sees coming yet. This SUV could very well ignite a wave of innovation in global manufacturing. Automakers have long been trapped in expensive, complicated production systems that drive up vehicle costs. But if Chevy can roll out a $7,500 SUV without sacrificing too much quality, it means they've cracked a manufacturing code that others haven't. This might include streamlined assembly lines, smarter use of modular platforms, or even tapping into localized factories to cut shipping costs. If competitors want to survive, they'll have no choice but to study Chevy's playbook and reinvent their own production models. Partnerships and suppliers also become critical pieces of this puzzle. To hit such an aggressive price point, Chevy likely leaned on bulk deals with suppliers, sourcing parts from emerging markets, and cutting back on unnecessary luxury materials. But here's the interesting part. This approach could trigger a new wave of collaboration between automakers and suppliers worldwide. Instead of focusing on premium exclusivity, companies may start competing over who can deliver the best value partnerships. That means global suppliers will be forced to innovate, producing cheaper yet more efficient parts at scale, pushing down costs across the entire industry. And when you zoom out, it's hard not to ask the bigger question: are we standing at the beginning of a new automotive era? For decades, cars have been getting more complex, more expensive, and more out of reach for the average person. Chevy's SUV feels like a hard reset, a reminder that the auto industry exists to serve everyday drivers first, not just maximize profit margins. If this mindset catches on, we could see the industry shift from chasing luxury buyers to fighting for mass adoption again, much like the early days of the automotive boom when affordability changed the world. It's not just about one SUV anymore. It's about a potential movement one that could democratize car ownership all over again. And if Chevy is the company bold enough to kickstart it, they may go down in history not just as a competitor, but as the catalyst of an industry-wide revolution. Of course, no bold move comes without risks, and Chevy's $7,500 SUV is no exception. The first and most obvious challenge is perception. Consumers might be thrilled about the price, but some may immediately question whether a car that cheap can truly deliver reliability, safety, and longevity. Skepticism is natural, and if early buyers encounter even minor issues, it could snowball into negative reviews that threaten the SUV's reputation before it fully hits its stride. Finally, there's the challenge of scaling production to meet global demand. If millions of consumers clamor for this SUV simultaneously, Chevy must ensure that manufacturing, logistics, and dealership networks can keep up. Delays could frustrate buyers and create black market pricing, undercutting the very affordability the SUV promises. But if Chevy navigates this effectively, they could cement their status as a disruptor for years to come, turning risk into opportunity. And that brings us to the broader picture. Industry-wide pricing trends are about to feel real pressure. When one major automaker proves that a modern SUV can start at $7,500, it forces every competitor to reevaluate their pricing structures. Brands that once relied on inflated margins may be forced to trim costs, simplify offerings, or introduce new entry-level models to remain competitive. Consumers, now aware that such affordability is possible, will begin demanding more value for less, creating a ripple effect across the global auto market. Competitors are likely to respond in a few ways. Some may rush to launch similarly priced vehicles, triggering a potential price war that benefits buyers but squeezes industry profits. Others may double down on premium positioning, trying to emphasize luxury, technology, and brand prestige to justify higher prices. Either way, Chevy's move sets a new benchmark, redefining what reasonable pricing looks like in an era of ever-increasing vehicle costs. In the end, this isn't just about a single SUV, it's a statement that could reshape the global automotive landscape. Affordability, quality, and modern features are no longer mutually exclusive. Chevy has essentially challenged the industry: adapt, innovate, and meet the needs of the everyday buyer or risk being left behind. If executed successfully, this $7,500 SUV may be remembered not just as a car, but as a turning point, one that redefines consumer expectations, competitor strategies, and the very future of automotive design worldwide.